Hi friends, welcome to Crack Rugby. We are back with yet another lecture, and this is something that we are continuing from where we have left for the Financial Stability Report by the RBI. So this is the 23rd Financial Stability Report. Okay, so I hope that you have gone through the first part, and we are not going to discuss the basics of FSR in this part. Straight away, let's begin what is there in the part 2. So now, how much we have completed? So FSR is divided into three parts. Okay, macro, financial risk, financial institution, regulatory initiatives. Okay, and for this macro financial risk, number one is global, number two is domestic, and same goes regulatory initiative. Number one is global, number two is domestic. In this part, we are going to see about financial institution in part two. Rest we are going to cover in part three, right? So let's begin with what we have to say in the financial institution. So this is basically the performance indicators of all the financial institutions are being discussed in this particular part 2, right? And I have brought out the data from the FSR document which are relevant to your examination, right? So FSR is a very big document. Not all the things that is there in the FSR is important. Only thing that we need to read which are important and relevance in our examination. So let's begin with the part 2, that is financial institution. Okay. So the first thing that we are going to see is credit and deposit growth. Okay. So you don't have to remember the data about public sector bank, private bank, foreign bank. Okay. Just every time that even the financial stability report has discussed and commented based on this data, they have taken the data of all scheduled commercial bank. Okay, so if you see that this check this colors. Okay, so you see that during March 2021 the credit growth was only 5.4%. Okay, means the growth is slow. So what data you need to remember here? That's 5.4%. That's it, right? And if you see the deposit growth is 11.9%. 11.9%. For which period? For March 21. Okay. And if you see that it is in the increasing trend. So from this to this point, it has increased. Now, why this has increased? Deposit growth. The FSR says that due to lockdown, or uncertainties, okay, people are more into saving mode because no one knows that who is going to get COVID and what is the situation that is coming out in the future. So most of the people were preventive when it comes to monetary management in their personal life, so they have choose to save their money rather than spend. Okay, and that is clearly visible in the credit growth as well. So the credit growth, if you see credit growth during September 19. So the this particular graph, so let me remove all this, it would be clear. So this is much higher than this. Okay. So there is a difference of this much. So why this difference? Means people are not taking enough loan. Now that can also be attributed to lockdown. Why will people take loan? Right? Maybe they will take personal loan, they will take car loan, they will take house loan. And when entire economy is shut down and people have a fear that they should not step out to prevent the COVID, so people have not taken the credit, and that is clearly visible in the data as well. So the data that you will have to remember is 5.4. And for your descriptive paper, that whatever I have said is important, right? Now, how is this credit growth is linked to this? You can easily link that this is clearly visible, right? The credit growth has come down like this, and the savings has gone up like this. Yes, this is clearly visible because of lockdown, and this is something that I'm speaking from the FSR report. The FSR goes ahead and comments on this, that due to preventive measure by the people, they have not taken enough credit. So that is the reason we see there is a downfall in the credit growth. There's a downfall in the credit growth. You see this downfall, and there is an increase in this saving. Okay, and how this increase? That's by 11.9%. Okay, so the two things, two data you need to remember, and you need to remember this connection between the credit growth and deposit growth. Okay, so that you can write a meaningful answer in the descriptive paper as well. So if there is any question related to this, okay. Now next is growth in CASA. So what is CASA? CASA is current account or and saving account. Okay, so growth in CASA and term deposit. So what is term deposit? That RD kind of thing. Okay, so let's not discuss all this here. So if you see the growth in the CASA during March 20 was 17.6%. Okay, from September 19, there is a huge growth. And again, the time deposit has fallen. Time deposit has fallen. What it shows? It shows that the general public wants to maintain liquidity. Okay, the money from the CASA can be pulled out anytime, but the money from the term deposit cannot be pulled. Okay, so again, remember in the last slide, due to COVID, due to lockdown, people were applying the preventive measure, right? They were maintaining the liquidity, that if some uncertainties comes, they can easily manage their life, right? And this is again visible in this data as well. How the amount that they are keeping in the current account or the saving account has gone drastically up. So can you see how much, by how much? If we compare from September 19, so this is the growth. Okay, so this is the height of growth. So this is too much, right? And overall it's 17.6% year on year growth. And how you can easily link that up. Okay, and the time deposit has fallen by March 21. And why it has fallen? Because of the uncertainty of the COVID. And again, you see there is a connection between both of them, and even we can find the connection from the last slide as well. Okay. Now let's move forward. Now, growth in new loan by SBC. SBC means Schedule Commercial Bank. Okay, growth in new loans. So let us see quarter 1, quarter 2, quarter 3, quarter 4 of 2021, and let us find where was the lockdown. Okay, during quarter 4 1920, there was what was the quarter 4? From January to January, February, March. Yeah, January to March. This was the quarter 4 2020. This is the time when the corona came, right? This is the time when the corona came and the country was put. No, the country was not put under the lockdown during this period, but yes, the corona came to the country. So there was a environment of fear that has started during this period, and that can easily visible in the, because during this time people were getting news from the media houses that things were not right in US, things were not right in the Europe. Most of the countries, they were going into the lockdown, but India was not into that position during this quarter. Okay, and but that can be clearly visible in the data as well. So you see the agriculture sector has gone down from that particular point. Okay, so you don't have to remember all this. Why I am discussing? Because you should know few things that are commented in the FSR, and you never know, there can be a question, right? And if you see quarter 1 2021, quarter 2, so during quarter 1 the country was under the lockdown, and you can clearly see that's visible in the data. All the data are in negative, right? Gradually during quarter 2, quarter 3, there was lockdown, but things were eased, right? So during quarter 1 it was the national lockdown, and the entire economic activity was shut for almost 1.5 months, right? But gradually things were eased up, and we can see it in the data as well. So less number of negative data, right? Less number of negative data. And what is important here? Important here is agriculture, because 85% of the people in the country is dependent on agriculture. In the rural India, 85% people in the rural India is dependent on this particular one sector. So this sector has become very much important. So any data related to this, and when it's come to NABARD, so do I have to mention that NABARD, any data that is related to agriculture is important? Absolutely not. You are wise enough to understand that. For exam like NABARD, any data related to agriculture would be important, right? So yes, if you can remember, so not remember actually, but if you can have a idea of what and when things happen and how gradually the lockdown was eased, and that can be visibly seen in the data. Okay. So this is organization wise, absolutely not important. Now let's move forward in the lecture and let's see NPA now. As we see, scheduled commercial bank gross non-performing asset. So what is the asset for the bank? The loans that they are giving out, right? All kinds of loan are the assets. So what is non-performing? So when the loan, they do not get the loan back in terms of EMI, that becomes non-performing. Okay, so that is NPA. So what is gross NPA? Now see, from September to the data, the chart says the data about September 2019, March 20, September 20, and the quarter ending March 2021. If you see, so let's talk about the all SBC data, right? The gross NPA has come down from 9.3% to 7.5%. Okay, the gross NPA has, so this is not NPA, this is NPA ratio. This has come down to 7.5%. Okay, again you will have to remember this data. Now, so when there is a NPA, there has to be some provisioning by the bank. What is provisioning? Let's say uh, I have taken a loan of rupees 100 from bank, from SBI. Okay, and at one moment of time, SBI thinks that I won't return this 100 rupees to the bank because of the risk factor involved. Okay, so that is completely different topic. How would bank identify the provisioning? So that is completely different thing to judge. But here understand. So let's suppose that bank thinks that this 100 rupees they are not going to get. So what they will do? So they have money. So out of the all the money, they will keep this 100 rupees in the provisioning bucket. PRO, in the provisioning bucket means they have provisioned, they have covered the risk that is involved in this 100 rupees that they have borrowed to me. Okay, I may default on this, and the moment I default on this, they can have this money, right? This is known as provisioning. Now I hope this is clear. Now see, growth in scheduled commercial bank NPA provisions year on year growth. Now see, so this is the data that we will be looking for, the purple line. Okay, if you see NPA provision, so NPA provision is falling down from March 18 to March 19 to March 20, and it has in the we could see it in the negative territory in March 2021. That's minus 2.2%. Okay, you will have to remember this growth in dual commercial bank SBC, sorry, NPA provisions. Okay, now we see the provision coverage ratio. So this is something that is related to finance, and this is provision coverage ratio is equal to provision held for NPA. Okay, that held means that 100 rupees that bank has kept aside into 100 upon gross NPA. So whatever the gross NPA that particular bank has, they will divide it by number. They will get provisioning coverage ratio. So the provisioning coverage ratio for the all SBC during the March 2021 as per the FSR is 68.9%. Okay, now let's move forward in the lecture and let's see sector wise gross NPA. Okay, which sector has contributed the most in the NPA? So if you see agriculture and industry, and when I say industry, most is MSME. So you have seen in the part one of the FSR video that RBI has restructured it much before the pandemic, and after the pandemic, yes, obviously all the loans of the SME has gone to restructuring, and even though they had that emergency credit line guarantee scheme as well, so they can again borrow. So irrespective of this situation, so when I say industry, so most of the things that are there in the industry is MSME, right? So you will have to remember this data, especially the agriculture. You cannot miss out on agriculture, and even MSME is important. So 11.3% is also important for you. Let's move forward in the lecture. Let us see large borrowers. Now, who are large borrowers? The corporates are the large borrowers, right? So if you see large borrowers, share of large borrowers in SBC's loan portfolio. So if they are lending out 100 rupees, let's say, so during March 2020, okay, March 2020, the loan were given to them was 52.7%. Rest 47.3% was given to, I don't know if I'm done right. Yeah, I think I've done right. Yeah, 47.3% is given to the other people. And the NPA out of this is 77.9%. 77.9%. This is not important, just I am showing it to you. Okay. Now, growth in SMA and NPA of large borrowers. So let us understand about what is SMA. Okay, so there are three SMAs: SMA 0, SMA 1, and SMA 2. What do we mean by SMA 1? SMA 0. So if an interest or principal or interest payment, I mean the EMI straight away. If I don't pay EMI to the bank for a period of 1 to 30 days, let's say I have an EMI this month on 20th, right? So if I don't pay it till next month, means August 20, my loan portfolio will be classified as SMA 0. Okay. And even if I don't pay it till 2 months, means August, September 20, right? It will be classified SMA 1. And if I don't pay it by October 20, it will be classified as SMA 2. Okay, means 1 to 30 days, 31 to 60 days, then 61 to 90 days. So if a loan is overdue for a period of 90 days or above, the classification that it gets is SMA 2. Means coming out, I mean, receiving that loan would be tough. Okay, so that is what this graph says, but absolutely we don't have to remember this. Okay, just the classification, what is SMA 0, 1, 2, 3, 0, 1, 2, you should know, and that's it. So let's move forward in the lecture. Let's see asset quality and CRAR of NBFCs. So what is the asset quality and CRAR of NBFC? Now, see, understand one thing. CRAR is something that needs discussion when it's come to uh, risk management or Basel norms. Okay, so that is more of finance. But in this lecture, let's understand the data. So March 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. So data is from March every year. Okay, so if you see the gross NPA is increasing from 4.9 and it has gone up to 6.4. So during this period, it was the highest, that is 6.8, March 20. The reason was because of fear of COVID. During this time, March 2020, the globe, I mean, the countries were facing difficulties, the developed countries, and the news was good impact in India, and we can see it in the data as well, right? So, what is the status in March 2021? That's 6.4%. When it was highest during March 2020, that is 6.8%. This is something that you need to remember, right? Now, let's move forward in the lecture and let's see exposure to funds, right? So, who are the contributors and who are the receivers of funds from the financial system? Okay, so don't read the entire thing. I will mark it out. So, asset management companies or mutual fund house. Okay, what is mutual fund? Mutual funds are the funds where there is a fund manager. Okay, let's say you want to invest in the stock market, but you don't have any knowledge, right? So you will have a general fear that if you go buy, let's say you have 10,000 rupees, and if you go to stock market, you may lose out that money. Everyone has this fear, right? But mutual fund is a way to secure some, I mean, to guarantee some profits, right? Or because mutual fund is being managed by a professional, where you put the money and they will decide the kind of bucket. They'll put the money in gold, they'll put the money in equity, they'll put the money in commodity and whatnot, right? So that's another point to discuss. So again, there are different kinds of mutual funds. So mutual funds are funds that are collected from the general public and being managed by a professional and reinvested. So the profit that comes out from those investment are distributed again to the people who have contributed to that fund, right? And the people who are managing this are known as asset management company. Okay, asset management company, they run the mutual fund schemes, right? Now let us read this. Mutual fund MC maintain their position as the largest net provider of fund to the financial system in terms of intersectoral exposure in March 2021. Okay, so there can be a question, who are the largest provider of funds to the financial system? Your answer would be asset management company mutual funds. Their gross receivable stood at 9.84 lakh crore, around 32% of their AUM. Not required, absolutely not required. There is 9.84 lakh crore rupees they have invested. Okay, their gross payable is around 0.93 lakh crore at the end of March 2021. Means this is the amount that they need to pay, and this is the amount that they are going to receive. Okay, so this means that they have maintained the largest position of as provider of funds to the financial system. Now, who have taken this fund? Now, who have taken this fund? The major recipients of this fund were SBCs, Scheduled Commercial Bank at the number one place, SBC. At number second place is NBFC. Number three is Housing Finance Company. Number four is All India Financial Institutions. Right? So, what is important is the first one. Who is the major recipient of the funds that was coming from AMCMF? Was the Scheduled Commercial Bank, right? Now, let's move forward and let's see about the insurance companies. Insurance companies were the second largest. Insurance companies were the second largest funds to the financial system. So, who is the number? Who is the first one? The first one is AMC MF. Who is the second one? Insurance company, right? So you never know, there can be a question. They won't ask you the first one. They will ask you who was the second largest net provider of fund to the financial system, because this is something that is written line to line in the FSR. So this is a screenshot from the FSR. So you never know, they can straight away ask you this question, who was the second net provider of fund to the financial system? How much? 6.68 lakh crore. And how much for them? It's 9.85 lakh crore for the AMC mutual funds. And for the insurance company, it's 6.68 lakh crore. Okay, now who are the receivers? SBCs were the largest receivers of the fund. Scheduled Commercial Bank. Look, here also the Scheduled Commercial Bank have access to this fund, and here also they have access to this fund, right? So this means that Scheduled Commercial Bank has taken large amount of money from the mutual fund houses and the insurance companies, right? Followed by NBFC, housing finance companies, mainly in the form of long-term debt and equity, absolutely not required. Where did they invest it? How did they invest it? Not required. How much money? What is their rank? Okay, and who were the primary recipients? That's fine. Exposure to AIFI, that's All India Financial Institution. AIFIs were net borrowers of fund from the financial system. So they were the net borrowers of fund from the financial system. with the gross payable and the gross receivable has increased to 4.11 lakh crore and 3.9 lakh 89 lakh crore respectively in March 2021. They raised fund mainly from scheduled commercial bank. Okay, primarily private banks. Okay, now see, again there is an objective material. They can ask you who were the net borrowers of fund. AIFI, All India Financial Institution, right? Where did they bought out the fund? They bought out the fund from the scheduled commercial bank in terms of loans. And how did the scheduled commercial bank have the money? They have got the money from the AMCMF and insurance companies. Okay, great. So let's move forward in the lecture and let us see exposure to NBFC. Right. So what are the exposure to NBFC? NBFC were the largest net borrowers of the fund. Largest net borrower of the fund from the financial system. Okay. You will have to remember that with gross payable of 11.69 lakh crore, 1.86 lakh crore. Now see, so there are many NBFCs. Most of the NBFCs are non-deposit taking NBFCs, right? So it's very natural. If you want to, let's say, you don't have right to accept money, right? You as an individual do not have any right to accept money, but your obligation is to borrow. Your obligation is to give money. Means people will come to borrow money from you, right? So how will you give them the money when you do not have the right to accept the money from the depositor? So you will have to borrow from somewhere, or you will have to use some different methods, bonds, debentures, and many things. And that is how you pull the money from the financial system and you borrow the money, right? So yes, naturally, NBFCs, most of them are non-deposit taking NBFCs where they do not have deposits like scheduled commercial bank have. So they mainly depend funds from borrowing, right? So they borrow and they re-borrow it in the financial system. So again, so that we are going to discuss that. It is also an important thing. Like when we have scheduled commercial bank, why do we need NBFC, right? When I can have loans from scheduled commercial bank. Why will I need an NBFC who again is going to borrow money from someone else and give it to me, keeping profit in between, right? Yes, we may think it like in that way, but remember, NBFCs are specialized. Right? So some NBFCs would be only financing roads. Someone would be only financing airports. Someone would be only financing housing, right? Right? LIC Housing Company, LIC HFL Housing Financing Company, HFL or something I don't remember. Uh, LIC is also giving housing loans, right? So what is that? That's an NBFC. They won't give you the personal loan, right? They will only give loans for housing purpose. That's it. So yeah, they are sector specific or specific needs, right? So that's a different point of discussion that we are going to take somewhere or the other point with NBFC's lecture. But here let us understand that NBFCs were the largest borrowers of funds from the financial system, right? Okay. The share of funding by SBC grew substantially, not required. Not required. You need to remember this. Now, exposure to housing finance company. Housing finance company were the second largest net borrower of fund from the financial system. The number one is NBFC. Number two is housing finance company. And all this comes under AIFI, All India Financial Institutions. Right? Now, let's move forward in the lecture. So with this, the part 2 has come to an end, and in the part 3, we'll see the regulatory measures that were taken in the global scenario and by the Reserve Bank of India. And remember, in this section there was lot of data, and in the next section also, in the part 3 also, there will be lot of data. With this, I have come to the end of this lecture. Do visit the website to see all this course. Okay, but the point of discussion right now is NABARD Grade A and NABARD Grade B, the most economical course that you can find in this price range and one of the best course available in the country. when it comes to result and when it comes to content quality. Thank you so much and happy learning. Meet you in the part 3 very soon.